Olivia Julianna responded to, you know, being ousted as someone who takes the chorus Democrat shill money. And this is what she had to say. Maybe we should go through the article again. We'll go through it again. We'll skim through it again after this.
Because it's just sort of frustrating. Everyone is willing to just believe lies.
The article that Taylor Lorenz wrote about me and a number of other content creators who are part of the chorus cohort is filled with factual inaccuracies.
Wrong.
First and foremost, we are not paid to make content. We are not paid by the Democratic Party. Chorus does not have any creative control over any of the content that I make, over any of the people that I talk to, and they have never and will never tell me what I can or cannot say. The contract.
Translation, they actively went for liberals who already hold these positions, who already have these values, who already are shit libs, and they paid them so that they can continue to feed this Democrat misinfo campaign so that less leftists get exposure relative to these shit libs. And if these people are already holding these positions and you give them more money to continue holding the positions, they are now so biased in favor of their positions that it's going to be a lot harder for them to open themselves up to reconsidering any of these positions, right? If they don't check in with chorus, they can be dropped for any reason. So yes, they do have control. Yeah, this is like nonsense. Again, just because like for example, if David Pakman was a Zionist,
the mullet rolls are gone, people.
Open presents. Thank you so much for the 10 gift subs. Thank you. Thank you. Can we get a let's fucking go for the 25 gift subs? Leftists are only sponsored. We are sponsored with dark money from Open Presents. This is true, actually. I'm actually sponsored by gift subs in chat. I will hold whatever position you want me to hold. Whatever position you want me to hold, as long as you gift sub in here. It's true. Thank you again, Open Presents. Thank you for the 25. That's crazy. Thank you. Jonas, thank you for the 19. Snosberry, thank you so much for the 2 months. Slow Death, Hollow Watcher, thank you guys so much for the Prime. Frog Girl, thank you for the 33 months. Okay, so as I was saying, David Pakman, low-key Zionist, high-key Zionist. That guy is like, I'm pretty sure his middle name is Zionism. And I'm pretty sure he probably was a Zionist before October 7th. And October 7th probably just made him an even greater Zionist. Regardless of whether he was receiving money from Chorus. The money that he was receiving is actually literally negligent. Because he was already holding those positions. But now he's predisposed. Again, it's like, you can't really keep good track of your biases. Right? You can do your best to keep track of them, but you can't be perfect about them, especially when you're being financially incentivized to hold those biases even stronger. I think like Tim Pool is like the best example of this, where negligible, not negligent. Yeah, sorry. The best example of this made manifest, where you can go back and watch some of Tim Pool's old content, and he like didn't necessarily believe all of the right-wing talking points that he was talking about. He believed like some of them. And then as he got more money and as it was more profitable for him to hold certain positions, he continued to hold them. And he continued to double down and triple down and quadruple down, right? It's the same thing with Asmongold. Like, Asmongold only like half believes half the shit that he says. He just sees what the audience wants and he's captured by his audience, so he continues to engage in that behavior and say the things that he knows people want to hear. So it's the same thing with this. It's like, yeah, maybe you held these positions before and maybe you were never going to change them, whether you got the money or not. But it doesn't change the fact that when you're getting $8,000 a month, especially if you rely on that $8,000 a month to be able to continue doing content, you are unbelievably predisposed to continuing to hold those positions.
That we sign does not pay us for content. It is the same as somebody giving seed money to a small business to build their infrastructure so that that business can go on to be self-sustaining in the future. That is effectively go on to be self-sustaining in the future. That is effectively what Chorus is. It offers small creators and content creators technical trainings, and operational guidance on how to build their own long-term self-sustainable platforms. If you want to get into the weeds about all of those things, you can go watch the videos that were posted by Elizabeth Booker Houston and Allie O'Brien. By the way, two people who are part of this cohort who have been consistently critical of the Democratic Party since all of this started, which debunks the other claim you have, which is that we have to be nice and uncritical of the Democratic.
Yeah, in which ways were they being critical?
Party. It might be easy to convince people on the outside and to convince other creators that the things that you're saying about 1630 and about Omidyar and about journalism are all true.
Unlike not defending the pedo and defending the Nazi.
A lot of other creators and people on the outside, I have experience in the nonprofit world, the nonprofit compliance world, and in journalism, which is why I am absolutely dumbfounded that your article was even published in the first place. When you submit a piece of content or a piece of writing to someone in an editorial manner, they go through a rigorous fact-checking process. So the fact that your article, which was riddled,
Dude, she's actually so mad.
with factual inaccuracies, was published in the first place.
Okay, so which factual inaccuracies? Just because you already had these dumb fuck liberal opinions and they were like, look, an idiot, perfect. We'll tell her, you know, here you go. Just keep making what you're making. Here's some money. And also don't tell anyone about it.
Is mind-boggling to me. And you're also trying to convince people that the problem here is accepting dark money and that there is a lack of disclosure. Well, Taylor, once again, you're either a liar, a hypocrite, misinformed, bad at your job, or maybe a combination of all of those. You yourself
So mad.
have received funding from Omidyar through their Reporters in Residence program.
You mean something that she's been open about?
But I am in a reporting fellowship that is an LLC that is completely separate from even the organization, the nonprofit organization of the Omidyar Network.
1630.
You know that that's the opposite of what she's accusing you of. No one would have a problem with you accepting that money if you were open and honest about it. People just don't want to find out that you were feeding them talking points when you're being actively funded and not sharing any of that information. The fact that Taylor Lorenz is disclosing it, and the only reason you know that she's gotten that money because she disclosed it, is good, actually. Oh, yeah? You accuse us of taking money and not disclosing it. Care to explain this hypocritical clip where you disclose that you accepted money? I'm sorry. What?
Fund is a fiscal sponsor. It is a larger charity that houses smaller charities for the sake of logistics and operations.
The LLC that I'm part of has not accepted any money from the 1630 fund.
You, Taylor, receive money for independent journalism infrastructure building from the Omidyar Network, whether you're accepting
Look at this photograph.
it from the nonprofit or from an LLC, you are still accepting money from the same.
Okay, so let's talk about a couple of details here. First of all, as everyone else has also pointed out, they're attacking the writer and not Wired because Wired has lawyers who had to approve and check her sources before publishing, so all their bitching doesn't make any sense when you look at it from that angle. Wired is like, I think like in 2025, one of the few news sites, journalism organizations that's still pretty reliable and pretty consistent when it comes to like fact checking. They seem to try to do good work and not publish explicit falsehoods, right? Again, because they don't want to get sued. You as a news organization, you don't want to get fucking sued for claiming that people received money that they didn't receive. And they say even here, let me see if I can pull it up. Where is it? Like, it says explicitly here. We can read the entire thing together again. Creators told Wired that the contract stipulated that they'd be kicked out and essentially cut off financially if they even so much as acknowledged that they were part of the program. Some creators also raised concerns about a slew of restrictive clauses in the contract. Like, Wired is not going to publish something like this without doing any fact checking. They even go so far as to say, according to copies of the contract viewed by Wired that creators signed, the influencers are not allowed to disclose their relationship with Chorus or the 1630 fund, or functionally that they're being paid at all. Like, Wired here is saying, we saw the contract. There were stipulations that they can't talk about it and they can't talk about being paid. How about you attack Wired then? How about you say, I don't believe Wired actually saw the contracts? Apparently they still can't talk about it. Yeah, that's why most of the people that spoke about it in this article, I think there's like 2 or 3 that spoke about it. And they essentially said, you know, like, I would like to stay anonymous because I'm not allowed to talk about this. And they don't want to get, you know, sued.
Funding pool.
It's not political. It's nonpartisan. And I'm being paid as part of a reporting fellowship. It has nothing to do with politics.
Yeah, Taylor, so are we. Because Chorus is a non-partisan, non-profit. It is not an entity of the Democratic Party. You are...
Bro, like, you need to stop. You need to stop now. Stop. And quick question, where does Chorus get the money from? Do they just like print out the money? Do they just like shit the gold that they need to be able to pay you? Like, where do they have a money tree? They just willed it into existence. They just like, with the powers of alchemy, they created money.
In the same structured program.
Truly, no one's paying. I'm not taking money from any dark money group. I'm just not. And if I ever did, I would tell you.
When you go to your Substack, there's no disclosure that you have had any kind of operational or seed funding for your independent journalism pursuits, which is how I know that you know the difference between being paid for content and being paid to grow your own independent infrastructure.
She's admitting to it in these TikToks. What is this bizarro conspiratorial opinion here? Oh yeah, well, you admitted it on your TikTok, which has hundreds of thousands of followers, and I bet none of them saw it, and you didn't admit it on your Substack. Suspicious much? What? What the fuck? It's funny, Olivia says she has journalistic experiences, but demonstrates that she does not understand anything related to journalistic practices. Yeah. Is this the type of journalism I can get from Olivia? Yeah. I wish she was just talking normally. I'd be much more inclined to hear her. The screaming at me is not cementing anything she's trying to convince me of. Well, yeah, I mean, like, her screaming in like a pre-prepared video, unless this is a live. This might be cut from a live show. I don't think so, but maybe it is. I think it's a TikTok. Well, you know, let's fact check. Let me show you guys real journalism. That was a joke for everybody in chat. Olivia. Let's see. Was it a TikTok or was it a live? It was
Because
a TikTok.
it's just sort of...
Now, it's possible that she cut it from a live, but I don't think so. I think it's just a TikTok. I think she pre-made the TikTok. I don't think she's necessarily a live streamer. Olivia Julianna. I get with like a live show, you know, it's a lot harder to like not scream sometimes, especially when you feel passionately about something. But if you're pre-recording something, you have to know like what would be presented. If someone is accusing you of taking dark money and then you get mad at them, it's like, dude, you got to see the optics of this. Come on.
If you were following your own ethical guidelines that you put on all of us, you would have a disclosure on your Substack, and yet you don't. I am part of Chorus. I accepted money to be part of a technical and operational training program and a mentorship program. I have absolutely no shame about being part of Chorus. I am someone who has been on my own, working and busting my ass since I was 19 years old to be able to build a better life for my children and give them the safety and security I never had. And next year, when I go back to college and I'm able to finish and become the first person in my family to graduate from college, I will have absolutely...
Holy shit, Lib. Oh my God. I had to take the dark money because I needed to be the first person to graduate in my family. What the fuck?
No guilt in accepting money to make myself more independent in the future. And the fact that
more independent.
you have the audacity to go after creators and say that they are corrupt and that they are twisted for taking money that could help them build a platform.
That's not the problem. The problem is like not disclosing that money.
That could sustain.
The primary issue that people have is that you're not disclosing that you're taking that money. The vast majority of people care about that more than they care about anything else. Vesh, thank you for the 5 gift subs. Thank you.
Them and their families for the rest of their life is disgusting, and you should be embarrassed and ashamed of yourself. Especially because you yourself have taken the same exact money to everyone.
No, she hasn't. She hasn't taken the exact same money. What the fuck?
Out there who's watching this, who you may still not believe me, you may not find me trustworthy.
Did the article claim that Chorus had an impact on what people said? Yes.
You may think that I'm a paid Democratic shill. That's fine. It's within your right to believe that. If you're still here and you believe the things that I'm saying and you actually want to build a coalition to beat back Donald Trump and beat back fascism, then I'm happy that you're here.
Dude, please. Yeah, I'm glad we went through that entire explanation of what a shitlib is because I feel like this really, this really cements everything together. It seems like there's a common message they're all saying. Is there a Fed message they're reiterating? I mean, there's a chorus. You could say they're in a chorus right now. But sorry. You can unsubscribe. Okay, you can unsubscribe. You can unsubscribe. I understand if that was too far. I get it. All right. My apology. My apologies. Sorry. If there's nothing nefarious about the payments from Chorus and the 1630 fund, then why did everyone who got money keep it secret?
Wow, unsubbing RN.
Zero, thank you for the 2 months. Bro, like... Dude. And then we already watched this yesterday, but as a reminder, before we get into it, let's look at the article together because I assume, like, one's in chat if you saw the article, two's in chat if you didn't. I always forget that, like, weekday viewers and weekend viewers are sometimes a little different. There's different groups. It's a pretty long article. As you guys can see, mucho texto, classic leftism. 1112222. Okay. Also, Taylor published a video. Oh, did she break down everything that was in it? The gist of it is that she breaks down that dozens of Democratic political influencers discussed whether to take advantage of an enticing opportunity. They were being offered $8,000 a month to take part in a secretive program aimed at bolstering Democratic messaging on the internet. She goes on to talk about, oh, Mayor Cat, hi. Is it behind a paywall? I don't think Wired does that. Maybe they do, but I don't think so because it's not behind a paywall for me. So you guys should go give the website some clicks, honestly. Oh, Mayor. Let me pull it up. Taylor Lorenz. Okay, and then it talks about how, like, Democrats have fallen behind in terms of basically captivating younger audiences, especially online. Democrats hope that secretive chorus creator incubator program funded by a powerful liberal dark money group called the 1630 Fund might tip the scales. Program kicked off last month. Creators involved were told by Chorus that over 90 influencers were set to take part. Creators told Wired that the contract stipulated that they'd be kicked out and essentially cut off financially if they even so much as acknowledged that they were also part of the program. And then it lists off a bunch of people. It says Olivia Julianna. It says Lauren Peretra. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing this. I don't listen to liberals. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Goes on and on and on. You guys can look. There's a full list. It lists off David Pakman, unsurprisingly. And now, you know what, chat? I think it's a good idea to try and listen to her video. Because I didn't see this. But Wired says that they got copies of the contract that showed that they were not allowed to disclose the relationship that they had. Dozens of liberal influencers are believed to have been approached by Chorus about the 1630 Fund financing opportunity this spring. They were told that Chorus appreciated the work they were doing online and were asked if they'd be interested in being part of the first cohort of a new program that Chorus was running to help expand their reach and impact. TLDR, it's like these were a bunch of liberals that were already saying lib shit. Like David Pakman has been a Zionist liberal that's been spewing liberal Zionist talking points for fucking ages. And so he sees it and he's like, $8,000 to keep doing what I'm doing. Sure, let's go. I mean, I don't want to say no to free money, but now that they're getting called out, they're like, but it was it really so wrong for me to do that? Was it really so wrong for me to claim that I'm an independent journalist while I'm actively receiving money that jeopardizes my ability to be an independent journalist? Really? Also, they got like a statement, I think from like someone else who was in one of these Zoom calls that spoke to Wired. They said, quote, "There are some real advantages to housing this program in a nonprofit." Wilson said to creators on a Zoom call that was reviewed by Wired, quote, "It gives us the ability to raise money from donors. It also, with the structure, avoids a lot of the public disclosure or public disclaimers, paid for by blah, blah, blah that you see on political ads. We don't need to deal with any of that. Your names aren't showing up on like reports filed with the FEC." Wilson did not reply to a request for comment before the article was published. The FEC declined to comment. And then the most recent development on this that I saw, let's talk about a couple other things here. Keith Edwards, a Democratic content creator who has skyrocketed to fame on YouTube since starting his channel last year, was not invited to be part of the program, but believes that the way it was structured seems predatory. He says that he would never agree to take part in a program that was run in secret or wouldn't allow him to disclose funding. What I don't understand is, why wouldn't you just donate to creators directly who've already built something and just need to put gasoline on the fire? Democrats at least need to at least understand that the internet exists now, so that's good, but they still think influencers are just there to do a terrible direct-to-camera interview that no one watches rather than just treating us like another form of media. So this is the other problem, too. If they just wanted to, like, help fund Democratic, like, talk shows that already exist, they could just establish themselves as a nonprofit and publicly give this money to shows that they agree with. Like, they don't need to, why would they need to do that behind the scenes? Influencers offered the funding were given just days to sign the contract, which was essentially presented on a take it or leave it basis. At least one cohort was specifically told that they could not have their lawyers redline it. In a group chat formed to discuss the negotiations, some creators discussed a clause prohibiting the disparagement of other creators. Not being able to criticize anyone else affiliated with Chorus felt restrictive to some. Eventually, the creators in the group chat agreed to drop the issues they had. I don't think Chorus is out to screw us. And it says, Orleans, a creator who was offered $8,000 a month, said in the group chat, some influencers for the program were offered as little as $250 per month. Imagine only being offered $250 a month. According to one creator who declined to accept the deal, while others were offered membership into the Amplifier cohort, which provides up to $8K a month. And then they just keep going and going. I'm going to try and find... I want to get to the bottom where, like, there's one person recently who was like, I ousted Taylor Lorenz as a complete and total fraud. My source, this thing that makes no sense. It was a black woman who was offered $250. Sorry, outed, not ousted. My bad. You're right. Okay. This part was really funny. This is an account that's like, I think it's a creator, but she's a big pedo troll fan. Wired is officially starting to retract and change part of Taylor Lorenz's article. How embarrassing for her. And then she screenshotted an update. Dude, she's fighting for her life in the replies. Where they're saying, this isn't a retraction or a correction. It literally is? Do you not know the difference between the word update and correction and retraction? So the update reads, following the publication of this article, Graham Wilson of the Elias Law Group, whose participation in a Zoom call was reported upon and did not respond to Wired's pre-publication email requesting comment, reached out to Wired on several points. These include whether members of the cohort can publicly talk about working with Chorus and Chorus's connection to Good Influence, both of which Wired has clarified. We have also included comment from Wilson regarding Chorus placing restrictions on content and whether Spehar was included in any Chorus materials. So like the correction in question for this embarrassing piece from Taylor Lorenz is that they reached out multiple times for a comment and then they didn't comment. And then after Chorus saw how much traction this article was getting, they were like, dude, hello, we need to speak to you guys at Wired. Hello, this is not true. It's not true. Please. I know you guys got a copy of the contract, but it's not true. And that's it. We'd like to comment now, please. We want to comment. This is a common Republican strategy too. Don't rely before the publication. Reach out to get a correction on the article, and they can use that to push the narrative that they retracted it. But meanwhile, it's not even retracted because they're still like, they stand by their statement about seeing the Wired reviewing the contract and seeing that there were clauses in there that showed that they couldn't that they couldn't disclose where they were getting the money from.
I knew something was up when I accused Olivia of getting paid by Dems months ago and suddenly started getting trolled by liberals glitchcat.
So like this guy, Wilson. Wait. He spoke up. He reached out to them after this. After he saw this shit. The part where he says, there's some real advantages to housing this program in a nonprofit. You know, we don't have to tell people where the money is coming from. We don't have to disclose the donors. You don't have to see any of that stuff. It doesn't need to be reported with the FEC. And then it says, he didn't reply to a request for comment before the article was published. And then he saw this. He's like, dude, fuck. Hello. No. How did you get that Zoom call? Please. And then here we go. Says here, Don Heider, the chief executive of the Markula Center for Applied Ethics at Santa Clara University, says that the outlined restrictions violate ethical norms. If the contract you're getting, for getting money from a particular interest group says you can't disclose it, it's pretty simple. You can't take the money, he says. We're living in an era where a lot of powerful people have basically taken the rule book and thrown it out the window. Wilson maintained in a post-publication email that creators are free to work with other groups or take on other partnerships outside the Chorus programs and say whatever they want as part of that work or on their own. Like, I like how the correction, the retraction/correction is this fuckhead Wilson saying, wait. They can take money from other people. And they can say what they want from the money they're taking with the money that they're taking from other people. Like if we're paying them for TikTok and then a different organization gives them money for YouTube, they can do what they want on YouTube. So really, are we really restricting what they're saying when we're letting them take money from other people and say whatever they want as part of that work or on their own? When they're working with other groups or other partnerships outside of us. This is the epic correction, by the way. And then we have this part, which is need some water. Ugh. Following publication of the article, Wilson said there's no record of V being included in any course materials, nor being named as part of the effort. Okay, this is like a creator. And that's it. That's it. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, you really got her, dude. Yeah, no record is doing a lot of lifting here. Yeah, this guy says that I was included on some of the chorus decks, like we have access to V when you do not, he said. A liberal content creator with over 3.5 million followers. So basically they were listing this guy's name and saying that they were working with him and they weren't, seemingly. And Wilson is here to tell us all. Wilson from Chorus is here to tell us all. You know, we don't have a record of that. I don't know. Maybe we deleted it right before we spoke to you. It's hard to tell. Maybe we didn't look that hard. We might have misspelled V. So, like, we don't have any record of this. Our corruption contract doesn't have a non-compete clause proving we are ethical. Take that, leftoid. You're like, what is the... The own here is that Wired issued an update, not a correction or retraction, where this guy Wilson from Chorus, who was ousted as, you know, being one of the head honchos helping give these creators dark money, where he responded after, even though they reached out to him before, to say, hey, okay, so I'm not going to disprove anything you said, but just so you know, we don't have any record of this guy that you said we put on our chorus decks. And also, we don't have non-compete clauses. So, yeah. Can you put that in there? Can you just... I think that'll make everything else look better. I think that'll make that... The own is that Wired issued the update that made the creators look even worse and they're celebrating because they don't know how to read. Oh, dude, come on. Oh, come on. Dude, at the bottom it even said clarification. That's still not a correction. Yeah. And the clarification is like, hey, everything else you said was right, but we don't have non-compete clauses. And also, I know this guy said that he saw his face on these decks, but we don't have any record of this guy, so. Who knows? Maybe he was on those decks, maybe he wasn't. We don't have any record. That's not like fundamentally, what's the problem? That creators weren't allowed to disclose that they got the money. This guy Wilson did not clarify that and say, no, they were allowed to disclose it. He doesn't say that because Wired literally got a copy of the contract. So he doesn't change that. He doesn't change that. So he's admitting that that part is right, essentially. And then what's the other important thing? That they're giving them the money to post specific democratic content that presumably doesn't question, you know, U.S. imperialism, doesn't question Gaza, doesn't question Israel, whatever. And he also doesn't say anything different about that. He just says like, well, they can take money from other companies too. And that's it. That's it. That's the correction. It's not a correction. But, okay, sure.